one thing, because we started off by talking about, how can people find that extra capital?
Right.
And you were talking about, hustling and stuff like that. You started bringing in more money. You got like 500 weekly and stuff like that. Did you ever suffer from lifestyle inflation? Because I know some people, when they get that extra money, they don't necessarily have the discipline to not spend it on foolishness. So did that ever happen to you? And if so, like, how did you combat that?
So it almost did. When I was telling you I'm from the hood, right? And then I went to college. And when I was in college, I'm living off of student loans just like everybody else, right? I'm rolling in the student loans. I ain't understand it at the time because it's funny how the United States, they'll give you a $50,000 loan to go to college and you undecided on college, but they wouldn't give you a $50,000 loan to go and get a house with the same credentials that you have, right? You got to show you got income. You got to show the ability to pay it back. But when you go to college, you don't need none of that, right? So you loading
Mm-hmm.
up all this debt and you undecided in college. So make sure you mindful of that. So I say that to say with the with the new capital in terms of lifestyle creep, this is how it happened with me. So I ended up going to the BMW like shop like immediately. As soon as I got my first check, I was like, from teaching, I'm like, yo, I'm coming from being dead broke to now I jumped to middle class. Right, I'm on that
Mm-hmm.
teacher scale I was telling y'all about, and I can see I'm gonna be
Yeah.
making over 100,000. It's gonna take me like 14 years. 'Cause I started on like step 3 or 4, so I'm like, okay, cool. So I get there, and then I seen this BMW, and I'm talking about this was the one. It had like I don't remember the name, but it was like a coupe. So it was 2 doors, and the
Oh, he had
most
a
of the
two.
car, yeah, 2 doors. Most of the engine was huge in the front. It looked like the Batmobile, like the old school Batmobile. You used to go see the animated Batman cartoon, and the front of it was huge. But then it's like the seat part is like real small. And I'm looking like, yo, how much is this, right? He like, oh yeah, this is like 60,000. It was like one that was old, right? It was like an
Mm-hmm.
older one, but they had it there because they knew somebody would come and buy it. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm looking at my check, and then he told me, yeah, if you get this, it's gonna cost you like, like what, $900 a month. And this is pre-pandemic. Remember, this is like 2015, so it's way before all of this
Damn.
inflation. So then I'm thinking like $900 a month. I could really roll in this because I don't really got that much bills like that. I'm coming living off of campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just got off of that, so I ain't got no home or I ain't renting yet or nothing like that. So I ain't even considering all these other things. And I'm looking into this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking I want to get this. But then I went home and I had wrote out everything on a napkin in terms of what I wanted to do with my money. And it was get into rental properties and real estate. It was to invest into the stock market. And it was, I'm like, yeah, oh, so I can't get that. I can't get that Batmobile because that would have set me back from the goals that I actually wanted. So then I decided against it. But I always think back and think, yeah, that was cool. But I'll say to combat lifestyle inflation, what you got to do is every time that you get an extra dollar, right? You get an extra dollar. You got to think to yourself, some of this dollar, and it could be extra 10,000. We just gonna keep it a percentage. Some of this has to be dedicated towards my goals and my dreams. So when you get an extra dollar that you didn't need, is just new money coming in, put 30% of that away. Put 30% of that away. Whether it's in a high yield savings account, don't just keep your money in these regular savings accounts. Go get a high yield one because you will have money sitting here earning. I had $30,000 sitting in the bank, and this is like 2016. $30,000 sitting in the Bank of America. No disrespect, nobody trying to get
Damn.
sued, Bank of America, but and it was earning a quarter a month. I moved this same 30,000 over to Discover Bank online. I'm not affiliated with Discover, but I moved my money over to Discover, and boom, I'm earning like $200 a month just from moving it. So then I was like, oh wow, this is how the rich stay rich. They just move their money and put it in vehicles that just grow it faster. And it was the same level of protection, right? Up to $250,000, the bank was gonna totally cover if the bank went under or whatever. So you just gotta just understand these things. So to get to the point of the whole story, lifestyle inflation is real. When you get
Mm-hmm.
more money, you're more likely to go buy more dumb things. And you got to remember, you could go, and I ain't saying dumb to be harsh. I'm saying dumb just so you realize that you didn't need it, right? But you got to understand there's a balance between living your life because you got to enjoy it, right? You don't want to put everything up and you never have a smile on your face. So you got to, sometimes it's time to get that Batmobile, but you got to make sure it still makes sense. So 30% of that, of the new money that comes in, put that away. If I got a new dollar, I got to put 30 cents of it up into an investment or into the S&P 500, for example. The rest of the 70, you're going to use some of that to pay down some of these bills that you might have had, or to live your life. If you could get it to 50%, that's even better.
Definitely. Living off 50%, that's hard. That really is hard, especially when people are living paycheck to paycheck nowadays. Inflation is out of control. So, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And I know in some of your earlier videos, like older video, you got to hit like oldest on YouTube. You were talking about how you like downgraded from T-Mobile to Mint. I think it's called Mint Mobile, something like that. Are there any other changes that you made to kind of save you some money while you was on your way up?
To this day. And just so we clear, I ain't saying you got to live off 50% of your income and it's going to be easy, or 30% is going to be easy. I'm saying that the new money that come in, give it a job. Give that new money a job. Oh, I got a raise of $10,000, $1,000. I got to put 30% of that raise into my future, something like that. What you're doing already, hey, we know it's hard out here. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. It's real hard out here for a lot of people, and it's not fair for a lot of people. But, it's never going to get fair. You got to make it more fair.